Take a good look around you. This is a place called Marsden Park in New South Wales. It's a new suburb. It's extremely beautiful. From the road down here, they're building a shopping center. And up on the road here, they're building the phase 2. And behind me, they're building phase 3. Properties here range between $630,000 to $1.8 million, depending on how much money you have. Now, if you're familiar with the property prices in Australia, you would know that to get a loan at all, to buy a house, you need about 20% deposit in the bank to get a loan. So the main reason why I'm doing this video today in Marsden Park is to inform you guys on the people who own this place. Now, there's a very high population of Indian residents in this Marsden Park here today. As a matter of fact, if I go out there and I put a signpost and say, "Welcome to India," you probably are going to believe me. Because in every street, in every corner, everywhere you go, you find 1 or 2 Indian families living here. Now, why am I particularly talking about Indians? Indians are immigrants, like African people, like Arab people, like everybody else. They go to the embassy to apply for a visa. They get the visa. Some of them get rejected. India is also part of the high-risk people of immigration. So they go through every single scrutiny for visa processes, just as we do. But how is it possible that Indians are owning everywhere? Indians are getting properties everywhere. Indians are working everywhere. Doctors, Indians, nurses, Indians. How come they're doing all that? That's what I want to talk about today. Indian people, from what I know about them, they have a power of unity. They have a power of one. So they come together, they put money, so 5 or 6 families come together, they put money together and they buy a house. One family, one house can be housing 3 families. They're all together on one property, saving money. Then they go, they buy a property. They share information among themselves on places that pay good, on the latest immigration policies. Indians distribute information to one another. And look at what they're doing now. They're slowly owning all everywhere you go. In the next 10-15 years, how much do you think one of the properties here will cost? It's going to be valued at a lot of money. And Indians have already strategically placed themselves in this position. Now, I was speaking to an Arab guy who works with me. I said to him, I said, how do you own, you know Arabs very well in Australia. I don't know about other parts of the world, but in Australia, Arabs own businesses, Arabs own properties, they drive flashy cars, they do everything. I said, how do you guys do it, that you guys are owning everywhere? He said to me that about 6 or 7 families come together, they put money together, and then they buy properties. They buy properties, and before in the next 10-15 years, they all have their own homes. My question is it possible for African people to be like that? Is it possible that black people can come together and own these things? The answer is no. Why? Because when black people come together, it's either this one wants to sleep with this one's wife, or this one is using voodoo to affect this one, or this one is tearing this one down. And it's so sad that our division is tearing us apart. We are missing out on these things. How possible is it for black people to come together and say, you know what, each of you, let's make a certain amount of money and let's invest in properties. Let's do things so that our children can have a share of wealth in this part of the world. No, we can't think like that. Rather, we think about tearing each other down. And our division has led us to this. We work so hard. Sometimes we don't even know where our money goes. African people, we spend so much money buying stuff we don't need to impress people that we don't like. Why? Because within us, there's so much competition. And the competition is making us lose a lot of money, lose a lot of wealth. Tomorrow now, when an Indian person becomes the Prime Minister of Australia, or an Indian person runs for a big office in this country, we'll have so many things to talk about. Meanwhile, they won't realize that their ancestors came to this country many years ago and paid a heavy price. African people, our ancestors told us that together we are rock, but divided we are sand. We need to put away all these tribal lines, all this mindset of slavery. We need to start thinking about how we can come together and begin to own stuff like this. Because you know what? Time will go ahead of us with or without our permission. Time will flow with or without our permission. So it's time for us to begin to come together as one to build ourselves and economic value for our children in the future. Be wise. My name is Mario Obo. God bless Africa. One love.